look, it was only, if we're looking at this year, it was only one game, but it was more than just one game. It's the way they played. And I'm not a psychiatrist. I can't read body language, what it means, but he is not the same guy he was when he got here. Energy, I mean, he was manic at a lot of times. Remember the Ohio State game in 2016? He got a stupid penalty for 15 yards. He would always
the Penn State game.
He'd be bitching,
throwing his jacket, throwing his hat up in the air.
Bitch at the refs all the time.
Mm-hmm.
He's changed. He's mellower. In some ways, I'm sure that's good. I'm sure he's a little easier on the players as far as yelling. I'm sure the message is still the same, which might grate on him. But he just doesn't look, I don't know if it's a medical thing, he just doesn't look like the same person. I don't think the intensity's there. And obviously the results are not there. So I'd have no problem if, as Paul Feinbaum called it, an amicable divorce. And we're going to be talking about this to our blow, forever, because we've talked about it for the last year or so anyway. Mm-hmm. And who knows what's going to happen? Are there going to be people above Ward Manuel going to say, look, it's time? The optics of a contract extension, even if he takes a pay cut, it won't be that big during a pandemic where your athletic budget is completely gone to you-know-what. That doesn't look good. Could he go into next year just to play out his contract, coach out his contract? Yeah, but what's that say about recruiting? Because there have been a recruit or two who, didn't come here because they weren't sure how long Harbaugh was going to be here as it was.
Yeah, and the standard at Michigan, I've said this before, is championships, Big Ten championships. And Brady Hoke didn't get that done, which is why he moved on. And for some other reasons as well. But there hasn't been a Big Ten championship since 2004.
Right.
It's 16 years. That's the longest time in modern football history that Michigan has not won a Big Ten championship or even had a share of it. And so when you look at it, and there's nobody that understands that more than Jim Harbaugh. He was a part of Big Ten championship teams. He has seen Big Ten championship teams. It's a part of what we believe as Wolverines is the standard. And when that standard's not reached, you've got to find a way to either get it done or realize that it's not going to happen.
Yeah, the chatter's just increasing and increasing. I mean, Feinbaum was really the first one to kind of call Harbaugh out for not accomplishing, what he was brought here to do. So I think it's become old hat for him to a degree. But
he even said he's bored about it. He's bored.
Yeah, I mean, PTI led with this yesterday. They led with the future of Harbaugh at Michigan, and I was stunned that I didn't think it was gaining that kind of traction yet. And they talked about his limbo situation, and they think he's a good coach, but are puzzled by why it's not working here. And it is. To me, it's very shocking. I mean, I heard Valenti the other day even say he's a good coach. There's just something, like you said, Stoney, it's like trying to fit a square into a circle or whatever. It just seems like something just doesn't look right.
No.
And his behavior on the sideline, he was criticized for that at the time. So he may have actually listened to his critics and stopped doing that. I don't know, man.
But there's a happy medium, right? Because he's going to look from like full throttle to like blasé almost on the sidelines.
No, he doesn't. He looks emotionless at
right.
times, and it's like you got to show something at some point. I think the scary thing is now that this is becoming more of a national story, is recruiting, and this could hurt them next year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you don't know how many recruits, have already committed, whether they're going to decommit. I mean, look, we've already talked about, and I'm sure Rico touched on it on his podcast, Rayshawn Benny of Oak Park, supposedly, and recruiting is a lot of supposeds too, was leaning towards Michigan. And then the last couple of weeks, and maybe Saturday was the icing on the cake, is now leaning towards Michigan State. We'll find out. He makes his announcement, I think, Sunday.
Yeah.
I mean, every week that goes by here, you're just getting closer and closer to the end of the season. And everybody's that more people know right now in the last 2 weeks that he does not have a contract beyond next year than did before.
Right.
It's becoming part of the narrative, and that is going to cost him players. It just is.